Turnovers will hurt you. Yeah, I know that's cliche, but it doesn't make it any less true, and we saw that in last night's football game between Prescott and Northwest Christian, a game you probably heard or watched right here on the news, 1490 AM, 103.5 FM, online at kyca.info, and live streamed on the KYCA Facebook page. It was actually a pretty close game throughout most of the first half. Then Prescott turned the ball over on back-to-back drives, including a pick six for the Crusaders' Marshall Gillette. Geez, that guy, he was like Michelle Yeoh from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, because that's what he was. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I mean, dude had that pick six. He had 2 touchdown catches. He had a touchdown run. He had several tackles. I mean, holy crud. I think me and Coach Benetton kind of agreed. He was probably like our game MVP from last night. Badger fans probably won't like us saying that, but come on. You got to throw some respect at the guy, even though he's the opponent. Anyway, I digress. Well, after all of that, Northwest Christian, they just pulled away, and that was all she wrote in that one. Badgers took the 48-24 loss last night. Still some good stuff for the Badgers. Adam Lloyd really coming into his own as Prescott's featured back. He had a pair of rushing touchdowns, including one for 73 yards. Uriah Tenet, yeah, he makes the highlight reel again. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns, one of them for 58 yards. Also did some really good scrambling to pick up some critical first downs. And I know he's probably going to get annoyed with me for saying this because other people have told him this too, but you know what the heck? I'm just going to voice it anyway. Dude really needs to go out for track and field because he would light it up. Anyway, Prescott now 1-2 on the season. Northwest Christian, they remain unbeaten at 3-0. And Badgers are on the road next Friday. They're down at Casa Grande to take on Vista Grande, and that starts 3 straight weeks of games on the road for Prescott, where they will also be at Combs and going to the most haunted high school in the United States of America, Lee Williams. So going to be some long trips, and you know what? I only have about 1,280 songs on my thumb drive that I plug into my stereo, and I don't know if that's going to be enough for all those road trips, man. I should probably download some more stuff. I'll tell you what, I think Dream Theater, that would be some good stuff to download because a lot of their songs, they last about 10, 11, 12 minutes, and that's kind of the joke among us metalheads. I went to a Dream Theater concert, and it lasted 90 minutes, which means they played about 3 songs. And roughly 60% of those songs consist of just guitar solos, which are really good. So you can't complain too much about that. Now, what else happened in the world of local football last night? Well, Bradshaw Mountain, they had a heck of a turnaround after losing to Canyon Del Oro the other week. They mauled Moon Valley 38-6 in Phoenix. The Bears are now 2-1 on the season. Chino Valley, they finally played their first home game of the year against Maryville and had the Panthers right where they wanted them with 8 seconds left to go. But then the Cougars missed a tackle. That allowed Maryville to score. Chino wound up with a 35-31 loss. Brody Ryan, he had a touchdown catch and a touchdown run. Brody Ryan, of course, our Tri-City Sports Roundup number 2 local male athlete of the year, mainly for what he did in track and field, being a state champion. I believe it was in 300-meter hurdles, if I'm not mistaken. Gage Guerra, Oren Stoller, they also had receiving touchdowns. And the process, well, just continues for Chino Valley as new coach Ricky Herrera looks to keep riding that ship out there. But Chino Valley now 1-3 on the season. Mare, they actually played on Thursday night. They had another rough one, losing to Mogollon 66-0. And now you're caught up on what went down in the local football world. A lot of teams looking for rebounds next week, hoping to plant one more flag in the ground to mark their victory. Hey, come on. I had to work in a reference to Camelot after I saw them in concert over the Labor Day weekend. And man, oh man, what a great show that was, especially since they usually have like a guest singer with them to go along with their lead singer, Tommy Kravik, who is phenomenal. Guy has a dynamite voice, dynamite stage presence, but this time they brought Melissa Bonney with them on tour, who's just a phenomenal singer. In fact, check out The Gates of Time by her band Dark Side of the Moon awesome song. I've been addicted to that song for months, man. And they also had Battle Beast from Finland there, put on a high energy show. And I love their lead singer, Nora Luhimo. The woman has this voice where it sounds like she's just eternally hacked off at the whole world. And I'm down with that because that voice works for Battle Beast's atmosphere, you know? Another one of my favorite metal bands, Zandria, was there. Finally got to see them live, and I am just more and more sold on their new lead singer, Amber Vorvahis. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's like half French, half Greek. I don't know where exactly that name comes from, but I hope I'm pronouncing it right. That woman just has an incredible vocal range. She can make smooth transitions from clean to operatic to growling, and man, yeah, I gotta tell you, just so many incredibly talented female singers out there in the European metal scene, voices that just blow you away. Meanwhile, in this country, we celebrate Taylor Swift and Cardi B. I'll tell you what, those two cannot hold a candle to any of the women that I just mentioned. Anyway, that was just a nice getaway after a busy first few weeks of covering fall sports. Got me re-energized and ready for what's coming down the pike. That includes a big tilt today over at Ken Lindley Field between the Yavapai and Pima College men's and women's soccer teams. In fact, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Yavapai women's soccer team because in the studio with me today, I have their head coach, Rozie Deweese, and two players from that team. We have Julie Reyes and Emma Young. So we'll be talking to them about, well, kind of a almost brand spanking new Yavapai College women's soccer team. They got a whole bunch of new players on this year, and we're going to be talking about how the process has been going, building that team, talk about some of their games that they've already had, some of their upcoming games, and just find out a little more about our guests, including a certain movie that when Coach Deweese was playing soccer, her coach made her watch, which made me a big fan of that, Coach. I'll tell you about that more on the other side of the break. Anyway, break time here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. We will be back with more right after this. We are back on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. John Rust with you here. Joining me in the studio this morning, we're going to be talking Yavapai College women's soccer. I have Coach Rozie Deweese and two of her players, Emma Young and Julie Reyes. Ladies, good morning and thanks for joining us here on the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
So Coach, let me start with you. Still early in the season. Yavapai got off to a pretty darn good start. You got 2 wins, one over College of Southern Nevada, the other over a school that's always been a long-time rival of Yavapai in pretty much every sport, that's Pima. Things a little rough the last few games, especially in the Yavapai College Rough Rider Showcase. So just tell us so far your thoughts on the progress and where Yavapai stands right now at this early stage in the season.
Well, we have a really young team, and I think starting off 2-0 was fantastic, especially against CSN, who we haven't lost to yet, and Pima, who we always battle with, and especially with them being ranked 5th in the nation at the time, that's a good win for us. The showcase, we knew going into it, we were going to have 3 games in a matter of 4 days. It was going to be a really tough week against really great opponents, and play was good. Results weren't what we wanted it, but being young, we learn from that, we grow, and our goal is to take one day at a time and keep getting better, and we're looking forward to today's game. We want to win again.
Yeah. And, well, like you said, certainly the early part of the season, you've definitely had some challenging games. Arizona Western, you faced them at the showcase. They were ranked number 10 in the nation. You also played Scottsdale earlier this week, and they were ranked number 19 in the nation. Oh, yeah. So talk about what that's like, throwing kind of a young team to the wolves like that and having them play all these highly ranked teams so early in the season.
It's a grow fast process. That's what we're hoping for. We've been together about a month now. So it feels like much longer than a month, but in reality, barely a month ago, we really were on the field for the first time together. And so for us, it's just a matter of, I keep comparing this group to my first ever program. And I think talent-wise, I think this group, we're already much better a month in than where we were in our first year program. What we need to really focus on is just the mentality. We're freshmen, but we got to play bigger than that.
Well, speaking of all these freshmen, Julie, you're one of the very few returners from last year's squad. So tell us what it was like for you and like the handful of other returners to come back to Yavapai here in 2023. You look around the field and you just go, who the heck are all these girls?
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy because I came in here as a freshman and we had insane sophomores, really good. Like, I had so many players to look up to, and now it's kind of like these players are now following kind of our lead of the returners. So now I have to, like, step up as that player. So it's like a full, like, 360 moment in, like, a matter of, like, a couple of months. But it's been fun.
So tell us what that process was like for you, because like you said, last year you're a freshman, and you're kind of taking the lead from the sophomores, kind of like looking at them to see, well, how do we do things here at the collegiate level. So what's it like for you this year now that you're in that leadership position? Talk about that adjustment you had to make.
Oh, it was a crazy adjustment, but I feel the girls are very open. Like, this year the girls are willing to put in the work, like practice at games. Like, it's been a little bit of a struggle because we don't have enough players to kind of bring back what we had last year, but like it's been pretty like smooth at the same time. So Emma, now you're also a sophomore, but you're new to the program because last year you were at Snow College, which I remember right is up in Utah, right?
Yes.
So well, first of all, tell us why you made the transfer from Snow to Yavapai.
Well, in January, our coach told us that he was leaving to be the head coach of Eastern Arizona. And so we didn't have a coach for a while. And so because of that, all of our spring games kept getting canceled. And I was wanting to play, and we weren't getting games. And it was too cold up there. We couldn't train on like any field. We would just do indoor every day. And I wanted to train. I wanted to play. And my parents live here in Prescott. And so I called Rozie and I was like, hey, coach, like, is there a spot for me on the team? Like, I want to play. And she said, yes. So now I'm here.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I guess it's kind of a unique position for you because you do have that prior collegiate experience at Snow, but now you're in a new atmosphere and a new team with Yavapai that's just filled with all sorts of new players. So what was that transition like for you where, yeah, you have some college experience, but now you're also one of the new kids on the block for Yavapai?
Yeah, it's super weird because Snow, I mean, has been around for a while, and then Yavapai is so new, and so it was kind of weird. It's kind of weird, like we're starting something. Well, I mean, it's already started, but
we're still new, and you're still starting it.
Yeah, and at Snow there was like a half and half ratio of sophomores and freshmen, but here it was like there was only 3 who came back from the fall, and like yes, I'm new to the team, but I kind of with the college experience, I had to be kind of a leader.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Emma had the ability of joining us last spring. So she's new to the program, but she's ahead in terms of experience with us specifically, just because she got to train with us for an entire spring. And when she called me, just to be very clear, the first thing I said was, you need to be released. And then, then we will gladly take you.
Cool.
Yes, that did happen.
So Coach, just again, for you, tell us about, this process of trying to put together, like you said, almost an entirely new team. And I mean, a lot of times that is just the way things are at the junior college level, because you only have these players for like, 2, if you're lucky, for 2 years. So there's always a constant turnover. So just talk about what it's like when you have this kind of turnover where you have so many new freshmen on the team.
Yeah, and I think obviously at some point we'd like to get to more of an even ratio, but if you look at it 2.5 years ago, we're in our 3rd season, so we started the program 2 years ago, and when I started, I was hired in March, and we had a season in August, and so I had to go out and recruit 20 plus players in a matter of months, right? And so those players, most of them came back as sophomores, and we brought a smaller class in with your class. And last year we graduated 16 of those first-year sophomores. And so we had to fill up the roster again. So we're quite not in the phase of equal distribution yet. But at the same time, we're going to go out and find good players who we think can come in and make an immediate impact. It doesn't matter to me, freshman, sophomore, necessarily when we play. It's a matter of who can come in and who's ready and who's been playing competitively and who wants to come and be a part of our team culture.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things that makes playing JUCO sports really, really good, because I know sometimes JUCO sports gets slammed. It's like, you're playing junior college sports, so what that's like for the peon athletes are out there. That's not like, NCAA Division I. But the one thing I'm sure that you and all the other coaches at Yavapai throw out is that, okay, well, you can go play for a D1 or maybe even a D2 school as a freshman, and you'll probably spend your first 2 years sitting on the bench. You come to Yavapai, and you could be in the starting lineup on opening day.
Yeah, and we also talk about the small percentage of student athletes that actually get the opportunity to go and play in college. We talk a lot about the 7% that they're a part of that. And not everybody who plays at the youth level gets to go on and play collegiately, right? And so for us, especially when you look at Arizona, there's 4 Division I schools, there's probably about 6 or 7 NAIA schools, and there's a bunch of junior college schools. So for players in Arizona, this is a really perfect pathway to start their collegiate career, especially at Yavapai. Because of the dorms, we have truly a college life experience that they get. And so they feel like they're at a 4-year. To them, they're not at junior college. To them, they're away from home. They're having the experience that they wanted, and then we have the opportunity, once they play here for their 2 years, to move them on to the next level, which we've done with 7 of our players right now that are playing out. They're doing great things, so we're excited about that.
Yeah. So, Julie, for yourself, talking about the junior college experience, what made you decide that JUCO was the route you wanted to go to start your collegiate athletic career?
I feel like what you just mentioned, because as a high schooler trying to play in college, you're like, well, I want to go D1. Isn't that the dream? And to me, it was more like, I just want to play. I don't want to go pay thousands of dollars at a 4-year where I'm probably going to sit the bench my first 2 years. So I was like, I want to go keep playing, getting that experience, growing, yet getting that college experience because of the dorms as well, but also being at a happy distance where I could just go home and be close to my family and stuff. So I think that was the deciding factor for me.
Mm-hmm. And Emma, what about you? What made you decide that JUCO was the route you wanted to go?
Same as Julie, mostly, but also I grew up in a small town, Eager, and we didn't have any club teams nearby. The closest one was in Flagstaff, and so I would only play during the fall whenever we had it, soccer. And so, I also played basketball and I did track. And so not really having a lot of film and lots of experience, most coaches were like, well, what club do you play for? And I'm like, I don't play for a club. I just play for high school. And they were like, oh, okay, well, good luck on your search. But and
yeah, thanks, but no thanks, in other words.
Yeah. And so just kind of, I don't know, it was a easier way to start instead of just getting no. They didn't even want to hear,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, so a good opportunity there. And Coach, I think another really good thing about JUCO is, again, with the D1 talk, a lot of times you go to these big Division I schools and the student population is almost the same size as the population of Prescott. And I think maybe some people who come from smaller towns, they just can't comprehend going to a school that big. They feel like they don't fit in. They feel like, I'm not known by anyone here. Or if you go to a junior college program or even a smaller school, a smaller institution like an NAIA school like Embry-Riddle or a D3 school, I think a lot of these athletes would feel more comfortable. And yeah, maybe they have the D1 skills, but they probably aren't maybe mentally built for a D1 school, or just really don't want to be in that kind of humongous atmosphere when they come say maybe from a smaller town.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different reasons. Every player's story is unique why they end up here or why they choose to come here. From my experience, I have coached at the Division I level at UC Davis and at Sac State and Indiana State. I've also had experience starting programs. When I was at Indiana State, we started that from a club team to a Division I within a matter of months. So, and then even with UC Davis, we went from Division II to Division I. So I've been in a wide experience of levels in terms of coaching, but also with those types of players. So this is really my first experience with the junior college level. And since I've been here, it's probably my favorite place that I've been ever. Mostly because I feel like we're really providing an opportunity for players for whatever reason why they choose to come here, whether it's grades, whether it's financial, whether it's not being able to be seen if they want to go to a 4-year at some point. But I feel like we provide the opportunity for those players to continue playing. I know a lot in my first class, especially, a lot of those players weren't going to continue to play. They were missed. They weren't recruited. And now a bulk of those players are continuing on at a 4-year, so they needed to be playing. So for me, it's about providing the opportunity and really changing the trajectory of some of these players' lives, not only in their soccer career, but just in their ability to find a family within our soccer program, to have the support that they need, and to be able to move on and find success at the 4-year eventually.
Okay. Well, hey, folks, joining me on the show today, I have Coach Rozie Deweese, along with Julie Reyes and Emma Young of the Yavapai College women's soccer team. So we'll be talking to them a little bit more on the other side of the break. But before we go to break, it's time to see who shined over the past 7 days as we present the Tri-City Sports Roundup 3 Stars of the Week. Starting with the ladies, our number 3 star is Kate Wright of the Prescott volleyball team. She recorded 39 assists in the Lady Badgers' 3-1 victory over Post and Butte Thursday. The number 2 star is Katie Rock and Roll of the Embry-Riddle volleyball team. She posted 40 assists and 11 digs in the Lady Eagles' 3-1 win over Arizona Christian last Friday. And our number 1 star of the week is Teodora Bulatovic of the Yavapai College volleyball team. She recorded 35 assists and 16 digs in the Lady Riders' 3-2 triumph over Central Arizona last Friday. Now for the guys, our number 3 star is Dayton Souza of the Chino Valley football team. He registered 2 sacks in the Cougars' 23-2 victory over Brigade Catholic last Friday. The number 2 star is Josiah Peoples of the Prescott football team. He registered 16 tackles in the Badgers' 50-30 loss to Thunderbird last Friday. And our number 1 star of the week is Uriah Tennett of the Prescott football team. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving, and 1 on a 65-yard punt return in the Badgers' 50-30 loss to Thunderbird last Friday. Congratulations to all our 3 stars of the week. Break time here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. We'll be back with more from Coach Deweese and Julie Reyes and Emma Young of the Yavapai women's soccer team right after this. Welcome back to the Tri-City Sports Roundup. John Rust with you here on the show this morning. I have Coach Rozie Deweese, along with 2 of her players, Julie Reyes and Emma Young from the Yavapai College women's soccer team. And, well, oh yeah, you know what? I forgot to tell Julie and Emma this before we went on the show, but, as we always like to do here with athletes, we like to find out more about their teammates. So it's time for the lightning round, and you know what? Sometimes it's just kind of fun to surprise our guests like this. I can never do a good evil laugh. I'm telling you, I got to work on that some more. Anyway, Julie, I am going to start with you. Who on Yavapai College is the best dressed player on the team? Who would you say is the team fashion plate?
Marissa Pond.
Oh, didn't even have to think on that one.
Right away. Just knew it.
Okay. So, Emma, who on Yavapai would you say is the funniest player on the team comedian?
Oh, my gosh. Whew.
Oh, got to think on that one.
I think our keeper, LJ. She's pretty funny.
She's a funny one.
Okay. Okay, so Julie, opposite end of the spectrum, who on Yavapai would you say is the most serious player?
Serious. Ooh, Ava. Ava, our center back.
Okay. Emma, who on Yavapai would you say is the most talkative player on the team? The player who, if I interviewed him, I'd just be sitting there going like, okay, come on, wrap it up. I got places to go.
Bria.
Bria Coleman, huh? The Bradshaw Mountain product.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember if she was very talkative when I was interviewing her when she was at Bradshaw. And, I think she was kind of a little shy when I interviewed her.
Interesting. She's bloomed.
Oh, yeah.
I guess so. Congrats, Bria. Okay, so Julie, opposite end of the spectrum, who is the quietest player on the team? The kind of player who, if I interviewed him, I'd probably get like a 3-word answer out of him.
Probably Ava.
Serious and quiet, huh?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, I think.
Okay. So Emma, who on Yavapai can eat the most in one sitting? Oh boy. I really threw out a stumper there, didn't I?
I don't think I could think of one either.
I know.
I think they're all good eaters.
Yeah, I mean, like preseason, like the
They can
cooks
put
were
it down.
surprised. They were like, "Whoa, like you guys eat so much." I'm like, "Yeah, we do."
We need it.
Yeah,
So are we talking like a 10 or 11 way tie on Yavapai or
yeah.
something?
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole team? Do you have a roster? I can just name them off.
Well, I remember when you invited me out to do the morning report interview with you, because you invited me to have lunch, and I was sitting there going like, is there going to be enough left for me if like all the players go before me? I think when I got up there, I think I maybe had like 5 or 6 pieces of pasta or something like that, and that was about it.
Yeah, they're good eaters. We need that energy. Food is fuel.
Oh, definitely. So, well, speaking of food as fuel and players, well, Coach, go into your playing days. Now, where did you play soccer at?
I played collegiately at Cal State San Bernardino, Division II school in Southern California, about 20 minutes from where I grew up.
Okay. So, Coach, one of the things that we were kind of talking movies a little bit before we went on the air. One of the things that you told me is that during your playing days, as a team bonding exercise, your coach would make you guys watch one of my all-time favorite comedy movies, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah, that was actually in high school.
Oh, okay, high school.
I went to Redlands High School. I was a 3-sport athlete there, and our coach, I remembered his name now, Brugalette. Coach Brugalette would have us over at his house, and we'd do pasta parties. And that was one of the movies that we would watch. And I would always walk away going, what did I just see? Oh, man.
Well, at least the coconut scene made an impression on you.
It made me laugh for sure.
Oh, man. So, okay, now I have to ask, after you saw that, would you go up to people and say stuff like, I unclog my nose at you?
I know we definitely used to quote it. It's been a long time. My favorite part, again, like I said, was the coconuts. That's just the pretend horses. That sticks in my brain for some reason and just makes me laugh every time.
Well, I am going to suggest to you that for a team bonding exercise, you show
our
Monty
next
Python
team
and the
movie.
Holy Grail to your team. And if you want, you can invite me over there. I've only seen the movie like 30 times, but I'm down for a 31st viewing, and I'll still be laughing.
You may be able
off.
to reenact it right here as we speak. So.
Love that idea. Oh, man. All right. So, well, anyway, Coach, you said you were a 3-sport athlete. So what did you play in high school?
Oh, man. I was actually on the volleyball team, the soccer team, and softball team. And I was actually, so I had 9 varsity letters because we went sophomore, started high school. So I was on varsity all 3 years for all 3 sports, and it was fun.
Good.
Yeah.
So, Julie, what about you? Did you do any other sports besides soccer?
No, just soccer all the way through. Club was very draining, so it didn't really give me time to do anything besides soccer.
Yeah. So, Emma, well, like you said, you went to Round Valley High School, so obviously we're talking a smaller town in Eager, and you did mention that you also did basketball and track and field, right?
Yeah, I did. And basketball, I started from sophomore to senior year, and high school, the soccer team, I started all 4 years, and track my senior year, I actually ended up winning the discus, and so I am a state champion.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Nice job.
I got a few basketball players. We're not going to tell Coach Gerard that, though.
and actually, if I remember, in Round Valley, you guys have the dome up there, right?
Yeah, we do.
Is that where you played your soccer games?
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so nice. They just redid the lights, and they got new locker rooms.
Was it part of the high school?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was so nice. The turf was so nice.
And I think you did like a Round Valley tournament up there, because I think I remember Chino Valley would go up there from time to time.
Yeah, because Chino also played in the fall, so we would go against them, and we held I think it may have just been called Round Valley Tournament,
Yeah.
or maybe
Showcase or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which means you probably went up against one of your teammates now in London Wigan when she was at Yavapai.
did.
Chino Valley.
I did. And I saw her the first day, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I wonder if she remembers me.
Now, when you say that, do you mean when you two were on the field, you kind of gave a little pushing and shoving and bumping out there?
Yes, because she's a defender and I'm a forward, so we
Perfect
went
matchup.
Yeah.
Bound to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I'm going to tell you, I seem to notice this all my years covering high school and college soccer around here. It just, to me, seems like the women can be a lot more physical out there on the field than the guys. I mean, for guys, yeah, you'll see some pushing and everything, but the women's game, I mean, I feel like I see more like, elbows flying. In fact, I was doing play-by-play for the Embry-Riddle the Embry-Riddle soccer match the other week, and holy crud, I mean, there were like, body checks I'd see in the NHL or something like that. So yeah, I guess if in the women's game, you're going to see a lot more physicality, huh?
Oh, so much more fun.
If you don't leave with some bruises,
yeah,
you're not doing it right.
You didn't do anything.
It is a contact sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they say, soccer's a non-contact sport, I'm like,
oh, no.
yeah, right, sure.
Have you ever seen it?
You should see our teammates right now.
Yeah, and I feel like we can, we take the hit. Like, we don't generally try and draw the foul. We generally take the hit and try and keep playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say, what is probably like maybe and again, keeping it clean here, what's probably like, say, maybe like one of the most physical games that you've ever been in, Julie?
Last year, I would probably say Arizona Western.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arizona Western was one of the games I took a lot of hits. And probably Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
Scottsdale was one of the games I took a lot of hits too.
Okay. I'm not too surprised with Arizona Western because at least I know on the men's side when Yavapai's faced them over the years, that's always been a pretty physical battle. So I'm not surprised that also extends to the women's team as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Emma, what about you? What's probably one of the most physical games you've ever been in?
I was going to say this year's Arizona Western during our showcase. I feel like that was pretty physical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the funnier things, and I've had like women's soccer players here on the show in the past, and I hear some of them saying like oh yeah, after every game we like going around and showing off our bruises.
Yeah.
That's true, Julie, huh?
Yeah, Bria has like her ear is like bruised. We have Jayla with like a bruised eye, and that was just from last game.
Mm-hmm.
That was from Scottsdale. That wasn't even from like before. No, that was just last game.
Oh man! So and Coach, I guess that's another thing you got to prepare these ladies for because I'm sure. I mean, yeah, you got some physicality going on in the high school game, but it does seem to get ramped up at the college level, and it doesn't matter what division it is. If it's NCAA Division I or JUCO, it just seems like that's another thing you got to prepare these women for, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime you move up a level, even at the youth game, going from one level to the next and one age group to the next, it's just the game gets more physical, and good or bad, that's just the reality of it. And so one of the things, especially as a youth coach, that we would go in is just teaching players how to use their bodies, how to use their arms, because soccer is not just about your feet. Mm-hmm. It's obviously the brain, a highly involved brain game where we're trying to solve puzzles and patterns, but we have to use our entire body. So I think in fact, I just had that conversation with one of our players this week about that's just the reality of the situation that we're in. If you want to compete at this level, you need to be more aggressive in that way.
Mm-hmm. And well, speaking of competing at this level, Julie, for yourself, one of the things that I've brought up on the show in the past when it comes to athletes making that transition from high school to college is I think the ones who don't succeed at the college level, I don't think it has anything to do with their physical talent. I think it has more to do with their mentality, with their heart, because, again, like, you, Emma, everyone on Yavapai, they were all starters. They were all the number one, number two player on their high school teams. But then you go to a college, any level, and it's like, okay, now I'm around players who were all number one, number two on their team. And talk about what kind of mental transition that requires for you and for any other college player to be successful at that level.
You gotta love the game. I mean, it takes not only what you do at practice, give it 110, you have to do what people don't see behind doors. So, like, you have to do, whether it's if you feel you're slower than a player that plays your same position and you're both battling for that same position, you're like, well, what do I do to be the other player in that sense? Like, do I have to go run more? Like, get more in shape? Do I have to maybe hit the gym? Maybe go in the field and get a couple of players and just practice on your own? Like, I feel it definitely is. You just gotta love the game. That's the reality of it.
Yeah. And Emma, for yourself, I mean, looking at your bio, when you were at Round Valley, you were a Region Player of the Year. You were All-Conference First Team. I think one year you had, 29 goals scored. Now you go to Snow College, and again, I'm sure you were in the same position that every other college athlete is in where, hey, I was like, the big stud on my team. Now I come to college, and it's like, Well, now everyone here who was also the big stud on their team. So for yourself, what was it like to, I guess, come to that realization of, I just can't do what I did in high school to succeed. I gotta put in a lot more work to succeed at the college level.
Yeah, well, it was scary. Like, there were some girls on my team who are now playing like D1, like starting for their D1 like schools. And I think because of that, like, I'm like, oh, they're so good. And I kind of played timid. I was scared. But I think you just got to be confident. Like, you got to believe in yourself, because if you don't, then yeah, you're going to play like not as good as you usually do. Mm-hmm. But if you're confident and you go out there like, you know what? Like, I'm here for a reason, and you got to play like that. And so I think if you play with confidence, it shows.
Yeah. And, Coach, in your position, again, you bring in all these girls, and like I said, they were all the bee's knees at their schools. They were all, the top players. But what's it like for you when maybe some of these players come up to you and they're not performing at Yavapai like they did in their high school? I mean, what are some of the things you have to tell them in order to say, well, if you want to perform well at this level, here's what you need to do?
I think it's really about having honest conversations with them and providing them feedback in the ways that we can. For us, it comes down to, we want everybody to want to play, right? Everybody should want to play. And if they're not and they're unhappy about it, that's normal. And that shows me that they care. To me, that next step is, how do you manage that? Do you go and work harder? Do you go and complain? What choice do you make? Because for us, the big thing about being on this team is it's bigger than the player. Soccer's bigger than this is bigger than soccer, and it's bigger than just one person. So we have a team culture that we expect to uphold. And if you're not playing, then you're trying to figure out what it is you need to do to play, and you're supporting the players who are playing. And that's part of the process. Yeah.
And again, I guess that goes into the whole total package philosophy that I'm sure you and I would assume most college coaches have, where you just can't look at a player and say, oh, hey, this player had 70 goals in her high school career, so I'm going to put her on my team. You have to look at so many other factors, because I know me personally, I have seen high school players who I thought, man, oh man, these players are incredibly talented, but you know what? If I was a college coach, I wouldn't want them on my team because they have a really poor attitude, and I'm being kind with. There are some other words I would like to use, but I can't on this show. Well, Coach, I'm sure you've seen that before, where you're like, I'd love to have this girl on my team, but her attitude is just really going to be detrimental to everyone else in that locker room.
Absolutely. When we recruit, it's more than just soccer. I mean, we talk to coaches, we bring them into camps, we see what their ability is to be coached. And we do our best to get all that information, because we really want players not only who can impact us on the soccer field, but who can also kind of live to the extent of our standards, right? And for us, that's a matter of being positive, competitive, and supportive. Like, those are our three things. And we talk a lot about being flexible and stronger together, but those three things do you take challenges with the positive mindset, growth mindset? Do you compete? Are you going to compete in everything that you do to be better? And then are we going to support each other through that process? And if you can't do that, one, we're not going to find the success that we want. And two, maybe this just isn't the best place or fit for you. And that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody, but for those who are willing to come in and work hard and work for each other, we want those types of players.
Okay. Well, folks, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our show here, but I want to thank our guests today, Coach Rozie Deweese, Julie Reyes, and Emma Young from the Yavapai College women's soccer team. They will be in action today over Ken Lindley Field, 3:30 start time against Pima, right?
3:30. Come out and watch us play.
Okay. In fact, that's going to be part of a double header tonight. 3:30 p.m. the women take the field against Pima. Then at 6 p.m., the men's soccer team, they will also be taking on Pima. So if you want some really good soccer, folks, head on out to Ken Lindley Field today, and you will witness it with both the Yavapai men and women. Again, 3:30 for the women, 6 o'clock for the men, taking on Pima. And when Yavapai and Pima get together, that's always going to be a good tilt. Coach, Julie, Emma, again, thanks for coming in early this morning, being on our show. Really appreciate you having here, and good luck today. Good luck today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Selfie before we leave.
What's that?
Selfie before we leave. We're going to selfie this moment.
Of course, you got it. All right, folks. Well, Well, folks, again, we're coming up to the end of the show here. Don't forget, next Friday night, we will be down in Casa Grande for Prescott football. They will be taking on Vista Grande, 6:45 p.m. for the pregame, 7 o'clock for the kickoff. And, hey, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, KYCA Digital, where you can catch episodes of my Rust Rants podcast. Got a few good ones this week, including Coach Primetime, Deion Sanders. His first victory as head coach of Colorado, knocking off the national runners-up TCU. And while some coaches would say, well, I'm not going to criticize my detractors, I must be better than that. Not Coach Primetime. He came after them and he said, hey, all you who doubted me, I got my receipts here. And oh, yeah, you doubted me. Hey, I don't want to talk to you. Next question. I love me, Coach Primetime. He's going to make me a Colorado football fan for sure. Anyway, that's one of my Rust Rants for this week. Go check that out. Till next time, folks, have yourselves a good one.